All right, we knew it was going to come at some point. Padres, they lose their first game of the season, 3-1 to the Cubs in what was the Cubs home opener. It was one of those perfect storm or bad storm type of things for the Padres, if you will. The Cubs had Shota Imanaga on the mound, who was one of their best pitchers, and the Padres playing in this cold weather. You know that phrase, right? Like it's not who you play, but when you play them. I'm not saying the Cubs aren't a good team. I think that they're going to contend in that NL Central this year. They could be a playoff team, but it's really like when you play them. And that's what I felt like today, at least, because it was weather in the 40s, I think, mid 40s. You could see Don and Mud in the broadcast booth with gloves on and the jacket and all that. You had Randy Vasquez out there in the first inning not being able to throw very many strikes, just a lot of pitches, I think over 30 pitches in that first inning. And he needed something to help him grip the baseball and be able to throw it in the strike zone. He just couldn't do it well enough. And that was what cost the Padres today in this game. Now, it was only one run that Randy allowed in that first inning. So overall, like based on the circumstances, did a pretty good job. But when the Padres play the Cubs and they're playing them in April, I think that's hurting the Padres, at least for today. We could see what happens, obviously, game two and game three, Saturday and Sunday. But for today, sure, yes, the Cubs had a couple of homers that were knocked down, but the Padres did as well. Xander had a couple today that were pretty close to going out. With the wind, by the way, and they showed it on the broadcast as well today, the wind coming in towards home plate. So not helping the batters out, definitely helping the pitchers out. Maldonado still was able to hit that one out today, so that was impressive. Mislocation by the pitcher. Wanted the ball more over the plate, outside part of the plate, and it leaked in. Maldonado took advantage of it. But the Padres, if they were playing this game in the summer, Xander would have had a couple homers. I forget if it was Xander. Was it Xander who hit the second one that was pretty close? But I know the first one. But then there was like Dansby, for example, late. He hit a ball to the warning track that I think Merrill caught, and that would have been gone in the summer. So there's some there's some things there, that maybe it would have evened out. But I think the Padres we're so used to so far this season, right, with that 7-0 start before today. So used to them, the Mike Schilt phrase, like, don't give them anything, take everything that they give you, right? And playing good fundamental baseball. And the Padres didn't do that good enough today. You can start with the walks, obviously, from Randy Vasquez. First inning, a couple of walks. No, three walks, excuse me. Three walks in that first inning. The single that he gave up to Hap got the fly out to Tucker. Suzuki pop out. There's two outs in that first inning. And then he proceeds to walk three consecutive batters. That kills you. Now, only gave up one run. And the Padres, obviously, with the Maldonado homer, they did score a run there, but that really hurt the Padres in that first inning. And I was so glad that they only gave up one run. Randy only gave up one run in that instance. And so it's all right. You stay in it. Xander hits a homer, but the wind locks it down to start off that second inning. And then what inning was that? I think it was the fifth inning, right? Yeah, fifth inning. Again, Randy gets a couple of the. It was Randy still pitching, right? I'm pretty sure. Randy gets the two outs, and then single to Ian Happ, and then back-to-back walks. And so now you've got bases loaded. Yuki comes up. He's pitching. And instead of maybe having, what would it have been? Yeah, been out of the inning, just don't walk Tucker and Suzuki. Maybe you can get one of them to fly out or a ball that's hit right at someone. I always want contact and you don't walk someone because you walk someone, you're not even giving your defense a shot. And the Padres had some good defense today. Manny and Crony. Tatis made a running catch where he ran a while to get that ball. Allow your good defense to help you out. But when you walk guys, you don't even give them that chance. And so that was frustrating. So now it's bases loaded. And Yuki comes in. I thought he did a fine job there. Comes into a tough situation. Justin Turner, I kind of forgot for a minute that he was even on the Cubs, but he comes in and there's the single. Kevin Acee, who was at the game, I listened to him on John and Jim on my drive home today, was saying that, yeah, Xander had a shot to get the guy at first, to get Turner at first. He never had a shot to get the guy at second. But personally, watching it live, I was fine with him going to second base, not seeing like the above angle of where the runner was. But I'm like, yeah, of course, he didn't get the runner at second. But where he was, I'm pretty sure his feet, like he left his feet. So you're telling me that in the cold, he would have been able to get up, get the throw all the way over there to get Justin Turner at first? I'm not saying Justin Turner is Tatis speed, right? He's not. He's not Elliot De La Cruz. But you're telling me that Xander would have got Justin Turner there? And if you throw it to first, that's a harder throw to make than throwing it to second base in that situation. And if you throw it to first, I mean, maybe you have to have a rise at first, pick the ball, or Bogart sails it, and just worse things could have happened there. So I was actually fine with him going to second base there. It was a ball that was tough hit, and I just say there, like, okay, you gave up a run, don't make it worse. And the Padres did make it worse because Manny makes an error, which obviously, and I agree with Mud that he said on the broadcast, 99% of the time, Manny's going to make that play. It's a play that has to be made. Manny doesn't make it, but guess what? And I'm not excusing Manny. Of course, he has to make it. And that's giving the Cubs something, right? The whole thing about the Padres, you don't give the other team these things and you take everything. Take the mistakes that they're going to give you, you don't give them back. The Padres gave them some things today with walks, Manny like that with that error. Um, but don't even let it get to that point. Don't walk a couple guys in that inning and then load the bases and have to have Yuki come into the game in that sort of situation. I get it. It's easy for me to say sitting here in San Diego, pitching in 45-degree weather probably isn't fun. And it's probably hard to find a grip and all that. But I, I didn't Maldonado say after the game that he thought Vasquez maybe tried to get too cute there in that fifth inning? And if that's the case, it's just like, if they're going to hit it, they're going to hit it, but throw it in the strike zone. I cannot deal with it. Just it pains me watching, especially that first inning too, when someone can't throw a strike. I know we see it in little league, right? Whenever we were in little league, we see it. It's just painful, right? Or high school or whatever, right? Where they just can't find the strike zone and they're not very talented either. So you just don't have the hope that they're going to, and they just need to be taken out of the game. But when it's at the big league level, it's like, all right, come on, let's adjust here. Make an adjustment, do something. If a certain pitch isn't going to be working and you can't throw it for a strike, stop throwing that pitch. And if you get hit off of, you get hit off of. But at least you're giving your defense some sort of shot if the ball's hit in play, and you're not giving them extra bases. You're not giving them first base, or giving them three bases if you walk three guys, or giving them two bases. And you get the first two outs of an inning, and that happens. Like that makes it even worse. Like you're almost there, and just sometimes, and this is baseball. You throw it over the plate, that pitch should get mashed, and a guy pops it up, or he hits it right at someone. Multiple times this season, a ball's been stung at Manny on a line, and Manny's caught it. That can happen. So just throw the ball in the strike zone. Obviously, as you can tell, I get frustrated when that doesn't happen, and that was part of it today. Should the Padres offense have you know, been better? I mean, I could say that, but like at the same time, there were balls that were hit to the wall that would have went out if it wasn't at Wrigley. There were some balls that were hit good, and it's just like, well, you're playing at Wrigley in April, you know. But yeah, it was 3-1, and then I think the last thing to talk about in this game was in that ninth inning where they get runners on first and second. Now, I was trying to find this in the highlights because I wasn't able to watch it because I was working at this time in the ninth inning. But Merrill hits a ball. Pete Armstrong dives for it. Wasn't going to catch it, but he dives for it, and luckily was able to snag the ball and it doesn't get past him. If that ball gets past him, now Bogarts is at least on third. Maybe he scores. He was on first base when Merrill hit that ball. So if that gets past him, it seemed like no one was behind him and it was just going to go all the way to the wall, and Bogarts maybe would have scored. That's 3-2. If that ball gets past him, Merrill's on third or on second at least, and it's second and third now with nobody out, right? No, one out because Manny grounded out. And then you have Gavin Sheets up. And then sort of the thing, like the thing that's gone the Padres' way, right, with luck a little bit this year. I'm not saying that's why they were 7-0. That's not the only reason, but it's part of it. Gavin Sheets tops one, and Matt Shaw, the third baseman, makes one heck of a pick as he's going towards shortstop on the infield grass. Coming in, obviously, he has the right angle on it, so he takes it. I saw this after the game. Heck of a pick. Throws it over to first, gets the out. And it's like, the next time that happens, is Matt Shaw really going to pick that ball? Not so sure. That's not, I don't know as much about Matt Shaw as Cubs fans do, but that's not Manny Machado over there. And so that's just part of it. Like sometimes baseball is going to baseball, and the wind's gonna knock a couple homers back for you or for the Cubs in this case. Um, and yes, the Padres were helped out by the wind. There were a couple homers the Cubs would have hit as well. Or the Padres earlier this year, Crony hits that ball off the pitcher's foot, goes into the dugout. He's on second base. Gurriel single, and now the Padres have a 1-0 lead, and they win the game that way. Like little things like that. And today it felt like the lucky stuff. Pete Armstrong diving, and somehow it stays in front of him, and he grabs it off the grass, or that pick by Matt Shaw there. If that gets past Matt Shaw, or he tries to pick it and it goes somewhere on the infield, right? In that situation, even there's first and second there, maybe you can score there, or it's just bases loaded with one out, and Crony, him striking out looking, there's two outs, and the game continues, and who knows what would have happened. Now, Crony on that last at bat there, I saw that pitch. Wasn't exactly down the middle, but it was pretty darn close. You have to be swinging on that. He got frozen, but you got to be swinging on that. I totally had forgotten that Ryan Pressly was on the Cubs, by the way. So when I was listening on the radio that Pressly was in the game, I did not like the sound of that. But looking at that, yeah, Crony, you got to be swinging the bat there. I don't know what you're looking at. Got to be swinging. So it's going to happen. Am I like super concerned about this after today? No, because the Padres, if you look at their track record under Mike Schilt, like they are a good fundamental baseball team. This is not going to happen. It's not like they're the Giants, right? Remember the Giants and their defense was so bad? I don't know if it still is, but so bad. And there's just teams that don't play fundamentally good baseball. The Padres have played fundamentally good baseball, and they take advantage of little things. So I don't think this is going to happen all the time. And we're 7-1, like we're okay. But who knows? I was talking with Darren Smith on the show yesterday. You can go watch that on YouTube or listen on the podcast platforms. They're going to go through a tough stretch at some point. So every game does count. And they could miss the playoffs by a couple games. They could make it by a couple of games. And so doing the little things could be the difference. Doing the wrong things and giving away things could be the difference. So obviously, I'm not going to overreact to this one game, but let's just hope it doesn't become a trend. I don't think it will, but all I'm doing right now is reacting to this one game, and it was a frustrating game because this isn't the Padres team that we're used to, where Manny makes an error like that. Randy, sure, like he's known for walking guys, but that was super painful to get, 2 outs in an inning and then you can't finish the job like that. Yeah. So obviously you don't like seeing someone strike out looking to end the game, and it's not like it was on a corner. You got to be swinging at that pitch. And then there's, some of the stuff that some of the good plays the Cubs end up making. It's like, oh, would that have happened next time? Would that happen? If there's a chopper hit tomorrow, is that actually going to be made? Right. So frustrating, but definitely not the end of the world. I know I saw a bunch of tweets about, oh, the Padres, they're not undefeated anymore. That's a good thing. I'm not saying that it's a good thing that they're not undefeated. What I'm saying is, like, when it's a story that the Padres are not undefeated anymore, you're playing really good baseball. It's not like game 1 or game 2 of the season when someone loses that tweets go out, oh, the Padres are no longer undefeated. No, it's a story because of how well the Padres have been playing. So I'm definitely still in a good spot with this team after a 7-1 start. It's a great start. Now let's win these next couple of games, and obviously let's win those games in Sacramento.